Something is seriously off about the way Meghan Markle and Prince Harry handled the births of their children. And now it's all starting to unravel. Loudly, Lady Colin Campbell and Tom Bower, two of the most relentless royal biographers out there, are pulling the curtain back on a secret the Sussexes tried everything to keep hidden. What really happened with Archie and Lilith's arrivals? And it's not just some conspiracy theory. These are people with deep connections, documented timelines, and a history of being right when it counts. Let's talk about Archie. From the moment Meghan announced her pregnancy, there was a strange aura of control. Unlike every other royal birth before them, there were no cheerful photos outside the hospital, no doctors giving updates, no traceable security presence. The public got nothing, just a press release. Meghan claims she gave birth at Portland Hospital in London. But Lady C points out there were no staff sightings, no confirmed movements, nothing on the record to suggest that even happened.
Think about that.
This is a royal birth we're talking about. The kind that usually has an entire media rollout timed down to the minute. Now, here's where it gets even weirder. There are whispers, loud ones, that Archie might not have even been born in the UK. According to insiders connected to Lady C, there are too many holes in the story. No hospital confirmation, no transport details, and not a single credible eyewitness. If that's true, and Archie was born elsewhere, that isn't just a PR blunder. It could raise questions about his legal status within the royal family. And with Harry and Meghan already on the outskirts of royal duties, the stakes
couldn't be higher.
But the drama doesn't stop with Archie. Lilith's birth, supposedly a fresh start in California, is now under the same microscope. Tom Bower claims there are inconsistencies in her birth certificate. Tiny details that don't match up with what Harry and Meghan told the public. Why does the document leave out crucial information? Why the need for such secrecy? And most importantly, why lie about receiving the Queen's blessing to use her private nickname, Lizabeth, for the child? And when Lizabeth knew it was a child, not legal, why did they pick a lawyer to use her private nickname? That last part stings. According to palace sources backing up Lady C, there was never an actual conversation about naming the baby Lit. The Sussexes didn't ask, they informed. And when you think about it, that move feels more like a trap than a tribute. Say nothing, and the Queen looks cold. Object publicly, and she looks cruel. Either way, Meghan wins the narrative. Behind the scenes, it's clear the couple has been micromanaging every aspect of their children's public image. Photos of Archie and Lilith were released on their terms weeks or months after the births. No official palace photographers, no doctors doing interviews, nothing real. It was all filtered, sanitized, and served up like a movie trailer. Every angle, every smile, perfectly controlled. And the strategy might have worked until Lady C and Bower started digging. Because once they did, the illusion began to fall apart. They weren't just pointing out inconsistencies. They were connecting dots. Like the fact that Meghan edited Archie's birth certificate weeks after it was filed, quietly removing her real name, Rachel. Meghan.
Why?
Lady C says it was image control, an attempt to erase the common part of her past and present herself solely as royalty. Hollywood royalty at that. The palace wasn't just confused by this. They were blindsided. A public statement was even released denying any involvement in the edit. That kind of move is rare, and it shows how deep the rift really is. This wasn't just a private couple trying to protect their kids. It was a calculated rebranding campaign, and it's now starting to collapse under its own weight. What really sent things into overdrive wasn't just the secrecy. It was the growing suspicion that Meghan and Harry were actively avoiding royal medical staff during both pregnancies. For every other royal birth, there's a protocol. Doctors are vetted, appointments are recorded, and palace officials are always kept in the loop. But this time it was all done behind closed doors. According to multiple palace aides, Meghan brought in private doctors unknown to the royal family, reportedly keeping everyone else in the dark until the very last minute. One insider even admitted, "We had no clue what was happening or where she was." That's not royal independence. That's full-blown evasion. And when you combine that with their decision to cut out official photographers, security reports, and birth records from public view, the the whole thing begins to look less like privacy and more like a cover-up. It's not just biographers who are raising eyebrows anymore. Legal experts, royal commentators, and even former palace staff have started asking the same questions. Why was the Duchess so determined to control every piece of information about these births? And what exactly were they hiding? Then there's the financial angle. Lady C and Tom Bower have both pointed out that Meghan and Harry were heavily relying on their Netflix deal to support their lavish monarch lifestyle. But here's the catch. Those multi-million-dollar headlines were misleading. The couple didn't get paid up front. They were paid based on what they produced. And according to insiders, the content just didn't live up to the hype. Reports from Netflix executives suggest that Meghan and Harry's output was underwhelming at best. One show described as a horse-based polo soap opera reportedly tanked in the charts. Another was dismissed entirely before it could air. That performance affected their earnings dramatically. The platform simply wasn't going to continue funneling money into content no one wanted to watch. But when Lady C and Bower started exposing cracks in the Sussexes' carefully managed image, the financial stakes weren't just symbolic. They were survival. Without steady content or credibility, the couple's brand started to crumble. Their ability to secure new deals, partnerships, and press coverage suddenly hinged on maintaining control over the story. And that's exactly what they began trying to do by force. Behind the scenes, Meghan's legal team allegedly started sending cease and desist letters to media outlets that dared to report on the claims. Interview clips featuring Lady C were flagged and removed. Writers critical of the Sussexes began receiving pressure from media lawyers, but it backfired big time. Journalists and online outlets, especially in the UK, took the legal threats as fuel, not fear. A Daily Mail insider reportedly said, "The more they threaten, the more curious we get." And the American media, which had been largely protective of the couple, started to crack, too. Page 6, The New York Post, even entertainment blogs. Suddenly, everyone was questioning the same thing. Why all the silence? Unless there was something to hide. Polls in the UK revealed a sharp drop in public trust, with over 65% of people saying they no longer believed Meghan and Harry were honest about their departure from royal life. In the US, former supporters started to speak up. Parents were especially vocal, saying that withholding birth details, editing certificates, and avoiding even the most basic royal customs raised more red flags than sympathy. Their brand, once polished and controlled, was slipping fast. And with every unanswered question, it stopped being about privacy. It started looking like deception. Inside Buckingham Palace, the atmosphere has turned cold and calculated. Senior royals are reportedly done playing defense and are quietly preparing for the fallout. According to sources close to Tom Bower, Prince William has taken the lead behind closed doors. He's angry not just about the family being dragged through public chaos, but about what he sees as a deliberate attempt to damage the monarchy's integrity. It's personal now. What lit the fuse was Meghan and Harry's decision to use the Queen's childhood nickname, Leet, for their daughter. To outsiders, it seemed like a sweet gesture. But inside the palace, it triggered quiet outrage. The name wasn't approved in advance. It wasn't even discussed, according to royal insiders. They presented it to the public in a way that made it impossible for the Queen to object without looking heartless. That move more than anything was seen as manipulative, a way to trap the monarchy into either silence or PR defeat. One former palace staffer reportedly said they told Her Majesty they were doing it, but they didn't ask. That's not tribute. That's leverage. And if that wasn't enough, Lady C dropped another detail. The Queen was deeply hurt by the presumption. That moment, quietly buried behind official statements, cut deeper than anyone realized, and the media caught on. Once believed to be darlings of the progressive press, the Sussexes now find themselves under a much harsher spotlight. Editorials have shifted tone. What used to be brave and bold have started examining her public contradictions. It's no longer just about births or names. It's about trust, about whether the Sussexes manipulated their royal past to build a Hollywood future. And the numbers are starting to reflect the shift. Social media sentiment tracking shows declining engagement on Harry and Meghan content. Public interest hasn't vanished, but the mood has changed. The fairy tale vibe is gone. To try and claw back control, the Sussex camp reportedly doubled down on reputation management. Crisis PR firms were hired. Legal teams expanded, but sources say even those close to them are beginning to worry that the damage is becoming unmanageable. With Lady C and Tom Bower promising more revelations, it's like trying to hold back a flood with duct tape. And Meghan's past decisions are now under renewed scrutiny. The change made to Archie's birth certificate, removing her real name and leaving only her royal title, was never explained publicly. Palace aides called it dictated by the Sussexes. Tom Bower calls it image engineering, a way to erase the Merle part of her identity and project a purely royal persona. It was subtle but telling. Every detail, every quiet edit now feels like part of a bigger picture. Picture where public image always took priority over royal protocol. Meghan and Harry didn't just walk away from the monarchy. They rebranded it, used it, and tried to monetize it. But the moment the illusion cracked, the empire they built on mystery started collapsing. And now the royal family isn't staying quiet out of fear. They're watching, preparing, letting the Sussexes burn through goodwill on their own. Because at this point, the truth isn't just inconvenient for Meghan and Harry. It's irreversible. The more they scramble to suppress it, the louder it echoes. As the dust settles, one question remains. Was the secrecy really for protection, or was it all just part of the